Let's begin now.
What's up everybody, Grant here and welcome back to the channel. In my last video I showed you why I stopped using the Mate 8 here, running EMUI or EMUI 4.0 from Huawei on Marshmallow. It was primarily for how it handled the lock screen notifications. It was very iOS-like. I also didn't really like some of the other look and feel and features in EMUI 4.0 because it was very closer to functioning like iOS than Android. So as I said, I threw on EMUI 5.0 running on top of Android Nougat, and so I've got that running here on the Mate 8 now. I thought it was going to be a simple download of the ROM and install, but it turns out I actually had to root the device. So I haven't rooted a device in a long time, so that was pretty painful. Not too bad, but I'll drop links below on how I did that if you're interested in trying to do that yourself. This is their new home screen for EMUI 5.0. So if we pull down the notification shade here, you'll notice you have your normal quick toggles like you would in Android Nougat or any other type of Android system. It's all one shade now, where you have your quick toggles on top, your notifications are on the bottom instead of the split shade between quick settings and notifications like you had in EMUI 4. If we go into settings, scroll down, we'll hit about phone, you'll notice we are running EMUI 5 on Android version 7.0, and there's your Android Nougat. So let's see how we can go ahead and get our app drawer back, because that was not there by default. So there you go. So you can get standard and you can have it with your app drawer. And so there you go. So you've got your app drawer back in EMUI 5. So we hit that. There you go. All your apps are now in your standard app drawer instead of scattered out through a grid of icons all over your home screens. If we launch a couple of things here, you'll notice also in the recent apps menu is a stacked vertically, so they're card stacks now instead of that horizontal scroll like you would get on iOS within EMUI 4.0. So that's also back. So again, app launcher, standard notification tray, card stack, recent apps menu. So a lot of cosmetic changes that bring it much more in line with the standard Android look and feel there. Also in the settings you have things like App Twin. There are going to be certain supported applications where you can have multiple instances running. So if you have multiple accounts, you can have one instance of the application for each account that you've got. So that comes in handy when you've got multiple accounts on these applications. It doesn't seem like all applications are supported yet, things like Twitter and Instagram. Right now it seems like only WhatsApp and Facebook. I'm not sure. I'll keep using it, and if I see additional apps that are supported, I'll let you know. But that's a cool feature within EMUI 5. And just like within Android 7.0 Nougat, you're going to have things like multitasking. So if you open one app, hold on the recent app, select a different app, you've got that split screen multitasking where you can resize and swipe away. So multitasking in there is there within EMUI 5 because we've got Android Nougat running here. And what about notification management from the lock screen in EMUI 5? The number one thing of why it became so painful for me to use the Mate 8 on EMUI 4, could not dismiss notifications from the lock screen, and there you go. You can dismiss notifications from the lock screen in EMUI 5. It's very much in line with a typical Android experience where you can swipe to dismiss, tap to open. You can even bring down the notification shade like we normally could. So all that could not be done in EMUI 4. It's fixed and back to normal in EMUI 5. So that's a great thing. Other things about EMUI 5 as well, if we look here into settings, scroll down, Fingerprint Id. So you've got the fingerprint gestures or the fingerprint scanner gestures, so show notification panel. You can turn that back on, and if you swipe down on the scanner, it brings on the notification shade. Swipe up, it brings it up. So again, down, back up. So you've got that back here on EMUI 5. It wasn't there on EMUI 4. I think they brought it back in on EMUI 4.1, and it's still here in EMUI 5. Other things about EMUI in general, you've got things like Smart Assist features. All that is still here in EMUI 5. So things like turning on a floating dock, we can do that, and you have quick toggles there, so that can be done. You have your other motion control, one-handed UI, voice control gestures. All of that is still here EMUI 5, available on the Mate 8. So far, if I just look at it, it's very snappy. Mate 8 has always been a powerhouse, has always been fast and very fluid on EMUI 4, it's just as fast, and first impression is it's a little bit more fluid, so it's got a little bit more smoothness to it within the EMUI 5.0 interface here, so I like that smoothness. Everything's nice and snappy. So initial impressions with EMUI 5 running on the Mate 8 is very good so far. I'll continue to use this as my primary device here for a little bit, so I can give you a follow-up video on how is EMUI 5 performing on the Mate 8. Has it brought the Mate 8 back to life for me in 2017? It's running about a year old or so on the hardware side, but it's still fast. Stay tuned to the channel and I'll bring you a follow-up video on all that. Also, like I said, got my Mate 9 coverage coming up, so we'll do some comparisons between the 8 running Android Nougat versus the Mate 9 on Android Nougat, comparing some of the new features on the Mate 9. Is it worth the upgrade at $599? All that's coming up, so if you want to see any of that, keep it locked to the channel, and as always, thanks for watching.